all know how great exercise is for us, but sometimes when we're so stressed out and overwhelmed, it doesn't seem reasonable or it doesn't seem feasible. So let's talk about how to incorporate exercise when we are stressed out, overwhelmed, burned out, or recovering from burnout. Let's dive in. Number one thing to remember here, especially when you're recovering from burnout, is to take it slow. It can be so easy to get overwhelmed with all the information out there about what you should do, what you shouldn't do, but it's important just to remember that it's okay to go slow and it's okay just to do a little bit. One of the things that I see most in working with clients who are struggling with burnout or struggling with overwhelm and fatigue is that they're too tired to exercise. Like, that's just not even remotely on their radar. Like, they feel like they have no time, or if they do have time, they feel like they have no energy for it. So one of the things that I try to do is to really simplify it. And this really starts with understanding what your body and your mind is really capable of at this time. And it kind of is important to understand where you are in the burnout cycle, right? Are you kind of in the thick of it right now, where now your body's not really mounting much of a response? Are you kind of in the recovery phase, and if you push it too hard, you're wiped out? It's really important to be very realistic with yourself and identify kind of where you are and what you are actually capable of. So my approach tends to be a very kind of layered approach in which we start with something as simple as walking. And walking is great for so many reasons, and a lot of times people don't even think of walking as exercise, but it is. Now, this could be anything from a 10 to 15 minute walk or a 1 to 2 hour walk on an incline. It really doesn't matter. Again, it's about identifying where you are and what type of activity is going to be appropriate for you. We know from the research that walking is great. It's that kind of zone 2 cardio where we're kind of in that steady state fat loss. It's burning more fat than anything, and we're not spiking our cortisol, assuming you're not going on a incline power walk, right? We're talking about a gentle leisurely walk, and this is great for people who are recovering from burnout, people who are kind of in the thick of burnout, for a number of reasons. Number one, you're taking a break from your usual and you're getting your body moving. And when you start to get your body moving, the thoughts kind of are able to clear out. You're generally not mulling over whatever is stressing you out, especially if you're able to get outside and go for a walk in nature. There's something very relaxing about that. You're opening your focus. You're able to kind of chill out a little bit, going from a higher beta brainwave state to a lower beta and sometimes even alpha state as you're walking. So you're getting the mental aspect of it. You're getting the physical aspect, is that, you're moving your muscles, you're helping with your glucose metabolism, and you're helping to lower your cortisol levels. And on top of that, depending on for how long you go or for how many steps you're getting in during the day, you're also getting some fat loss as well. Working as a coach, it really comes down to, okay, where are you physically and mentally? And, can we take a 10-minute walk? It may be as simple as a 10-minute walk, like twice a week. And for some people, that's all they can do. And that's fine. I'm ecstatic with that because it's more than you were doing before. So walking is usually kind of where I start. Either we're kind of in the earlier stages of burnout, or maybe we're kind of on that road to recovery. What do I add in next, or where do I start? I usually will start with something like resistance training, and it can be as simple as twice a week. I'm happy with that. So again, it's about building a plan that actually works for you and actually makes sense for where you are physically and mentally. The last thing you want to do is push you harder with something like a high intensity interval training, back to back 4 times a week. No, that is ridiculous. And that's going to be more harmful than it is helpful in that particular case, because we're going to spike cortisol even higher. So adding in resistance training, usually I'll start with like twice a week, and I'll ask, again, this is very particular to where you are in your, in the stressful stage or in the burnout stage or the recovery phase. This is very specific to, where your body is and where you are physically. We're kind of starting twice a week, and we're making sure we're getting at least kind of 48 hours of rest in between these sessions. What are we doing in these? Usually if it's only twice a week, we're trying to do like a full body, usually about 30 minutes, where we're doing some compound lifting, and we're going through maybe 4 to 6 exercises with a couple of sets. And we may start with 2 sets. We may start with 3 sets. Again, just depends on where you are. And this is where kind of working with the coach can be really helpful, because we're building it step by step. It's one less thing you have to think about, and we're slowly building you up. If that is going well, then it's generally kind of like, okay, well, do you want to be in the gym more? Do you want to do more resistance training? Do you want to go 4 times a week? In which case, maybe we'll change it. Maybe we'll do, 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days, right? Again, it's about working with where you are. But on top of that, I'm hoping we're also keeping the walking, and maybe we're increasing the walking, right? After that, if you want to add in some cardio, some higher intensity cardio, something like biking, something like high intensity interval training, then we're free to do that. Generally speaking, in my experience with working with clients, it's almost impossible to kind of start with that higher intensity interval training if you're kind of at your wits end and if you're at your lowest level. So knowing how to step this up, knowing what type of exercise to do, knowing when to do these exercises is going to be really important, getting you back on the road to recovery and getting you back moving without having these setbacks. And of course, with resistance training, I'm of course hoping to add in some mobility work, making sure that you're stretching and making sure that you're giving your body enough recovery as well. So to summarize, again, number 1, be kind to yourself and be realistic about where you are, and don't feel guilty about not being able to do more if that's just where you are. There is a difference between really pushing yourself and acknowledging that you need rest and recovery. Number 2 is to slowly build up, start with walking, then maybe start with some resistance training, a couple times a week. Then maybe increase those sessions to 3 to 4 times a week. Increase the number of sets you're doing. Take this in a step-by-step fashion, continue your walking, and slowly build upon your progress. Then you can add in more things that are higher intensity cardio. You add in your HIIT training, etc., etc. But when working with your exercise, these are all important things to remember as you are recovering from burnout or trying to backpedal out of burnout, or whether or not you're on the other side. If you have any questions about that or feel like you need some help with any of this, you can learn how to work with me. Exercise is a component that I put into my coaching program, the Better Health Blueprint. I work with you to create a plan as far as what your exercise should look like. I check in with you to make sure you're doing it and help you with any obstacles that might pop up as you're trying to adapt to this new lifestyle. So if you have any questions about that, you can click on the link down in the description box and learn how to work with me. All right, I hope that this video was helpful and that you learned something. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.